everybody. It's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore coming at you.
And we're so glad that you're here. And we do pray that you are blessed by the video that we're going to do today. And it's going to be good because it's going to be story time. And we're really just going to kind of lay out and share what we're seeing God unfold in our lives as far as the visions and everything. And it's funny because originally I was thinking, oh, maybe we could just do like little segments, but
here comes the first floats.
Ultimately, I'm just like, we were talking about it, and it will just be easier if we're just gonna flow like we normally do a story time. That's just how it works for us. The Lord just kind of,
well, it hasn't been a normally, has it? That's the thing. It's like we're kind of out of this is not the normal anymore. This is welcome to the new normal.
Yes.
Which is like the old normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the sense of like, because so many of the visions overlap.
They do.
And it's just like, you know what? We're just going to share, and however long things are, that's how long it is. Yeah. But also just that it's, we'll just see how the Lord weaves everything together.
Yeah.
But it's like so many visions.
Hope you are encouraged because cool stuff's happening.
Yes. But before we get into that, we would like to say a huge thank you to everyone who gives and continues to give to us.
Yes.
As we are support based, and if you would like to give,
it puts food on the table.
Yep. And if you would like to give to us, you can. We have a PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo links below that you can click any of those and give there.
Yeah.
So
everything we have in our life right now is given by God, and people who God's is put it on his heart to give to us. I mean, everything we have, literally everything that comes into our life comes from God putting it on people's heart to give to us, and then we take that money and we do what we need to do with it. What we can, whatever we can do. You know, sometimes we need to do stuff that's beyond the normal. God sends that and provides for that too, and it's just been like that for this whole journey that God's like, you are transitioning out of. That's what our last video was about, transitioning out of, you know. So huge thank you to all of those, particularly those of you who have been with us for so long. And
Such a long time.
Yeah, praise the Lord.
Yes.
God's just called you to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
our little old mom and pop shop over here in YouTube land. You know. So
I just wanted to start with going back to one of the visions that Devin has had is
in the beginning.
Yeah. It's what we had, what we call the ancient ruins visions, and this is one of those visions, and basically it's where he's just sweeping, doing his work, doing what he always does, sweeping, and he goes out to check the mailboxes. And basically the mailboxes were these basically to check for provision from the Lord, and there would be like food in the mailboxes.
Yeah. There would be just like these little jars that had these little, you know, like, almost like there would be these jars, and it had like this little, like almost like a leather top type of thing on it with this little binding around it. It was very old. Everything about it was ancient and nothing modern at all. It was like, oh, okay. And then we basically, there were shelves, probably like 300 shelves, seriously. But we were surviving, and just one shelf was probably 2 feet deep, okay? And our whole family has been surviving on just a couple jars on one shelf. On occasion, we would get like 6 or 7 jars. We're like, wow, that's crazy. You know, this could last us forever. And God's like, well, I hadn't had forever in mind. Here, let's go do this and go do that and go do this. It's like, what? We could have used that for something, you know, but God's like, well, I had something in mind. And I'm just saying, like, that's all we've been living on this whole time. Just, we would wake up, if you were living in this like it was a movie, or it was an actual vision in reality, or if the vision was reality, is what I'm saying, right? Okay. You know, I'm just going out, in my little Hebrew tunic and my little garb, and was checking, and oh, look at that, hey, and that's basically what the PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo is, right? We would see some provision. It's like, oh yeah, thank you, Lord. We're able to do this, and we're able to do this now, and we have family gathers around the table, and we, just. Here you go, guys. No, I'm just kidding. This little bitty morsel for you, a morsel for you. No, it wasn't like. It's not like that, but it's kind of a funny scene the more I think about it. But yeah, we've just been living on just that. That's what we've been living on.
Yeah. And so in this vision, Devin goes out, and then he's just sweeping, and then suddenly just the Lord comes. Right?
Yeah.
And he comes, and there's this moment where the Lord places his head on Devin's head. And then he
comes around the corner. Want me to tell you?
Yeah, can you
He
just
comes
tell
around
the
the
whole
corner
thing?
super happy, and then it's almost like an old friend I've seen. He's like, he doesn't say the words, but it's almost like he comes around the corner. It's like, Dev, what's up? And he's coming toward me, and I'm just so grieved and sad and just sullen and just waiting for the Lord to show up, and constantly battling that whole, did we come out here properly? Are we in the right place? Did we do the right thing? Oh, God. You just have to deal with that. The word of the Lord will test you until it comes to pass, right? And so he comes around the corner, and the closer he gets to me, the more he changes. He's like, oh man, he's feeling bad. And he comes up close to me, and my head is just down. It's like I see him, but the closer he comes to me, the more I'm just like, oh, I can't even look at you, And he just puts his head on my head, and he just says some stuff to me, but it was like there was a sense of like, I get it, buddy, I get it. And then he's like, come on. He takes my hand, and he goes beyond where the shelves begin, and he looks up to heaven. He's like, I am calling heaven and earth to witness. I am blessing this man. And then he points to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the next scene is he's backing away from me toward the shelves because there's the ancient ruins are this way and the shelves are this way, and he extends both of his hands, and the shelves just fill up like crazy. I mean, they all fill up. It's not over a course of time. They're just like, they're just loaded. I'm looking, I'm going, oh my gosh. That's like, every shelf was full, and it was like peeking out. There was like vegetation and all this stuff was just creeping out of the box and out of the little shelf. But then my family was put into these little bubbles in which we become superheroes at some point,
Yeah, and
so that's the vision.
That's the vision, and so we're going to start off there because in the month of June,
it's kind of the foundation of all of the story right there.
Right at the beginning of June, there was just a huge emphasis on Devin and him being like the head of the house, but it was really truly like the Lord coming close, and it was like you guys were like head to head, and God was really in that first week speaking so much to you specifically, and
about
just
like, I understand.
Yeah,
I get it. You haven't done anything wrong. You're not a failure. You didn't hear wrong. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it was just very evidently clear, like God was like, I am with the head right now. I'm with you in this. And then, and there was just like kind of the idea as well with that of just, okay, then the Lord steps back, and then there's the I call heaven and earth to witness. And literally,
this is the cool part.
We're going through, so like the first week of June, that was the head, bringing the head together, and then there's kind of a stepping back where it's like, okay, we're definitely in something different here. But then mid-June, it was we literally were on a phone call with friends of ours, and that we haven't been able to talk with for
very long time.
Very long time. And it was like that sense of a call, and we were being called. And it's like the Lord's like, I'm calling heaven and earth to witness. And so our friends, they were able to come actually and visit us, which was a complete, so like basically just shortly after. It was like,
but we poloed them, right?
Yeah, well, I poloed them, and then we talked the next day.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey, we really feel like this was the Lord saying, like, we need to come and visit.
Yeah, because the Lord had already put it on their heart to think about us and be thinking like, wow, we need to go contact them, or maybe go see them or something. And then the wife woke up the next day and there was a polo from us, and she grabbed the phone and showed the husband and said, look, it's them. This is a confirmation. We need to go.
Yeah.
So it's like a calling. You see, that's what I meant in my last video, in case you missed it. The Lord has been showing me, like, see, visions as they work out in real time in your life, they're different. Visions and dreams, prophetic things, they're symbolic, they're symbols, they're signs showing that are pointing to something, and the Lord's been showing me, like, this is how it's working out. It's literally working out. That's what I mean when it's like, this is that part right here. I am calling. I'm like, whoa, heaven and earth. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so it's like, I'm calling heaven and earth to witness. So that means, like, a witness is somebody who has to be, like, if you have a witness for a wedding, well, they're at the wedding witnessing what's happening, what's taking place.
Yeah.
That I'm blessing this man.
Or else they can't sign the papers.
Yeah. And so we got the call, and then basically they were going to be able to come just, what was it, like 11 days later? I mean, it was very quick. But then that was, I think, on the 16th, and we got the call, and then all the arrangements were made, and then come on to Saturday, it was all about the blessing. Literally that night. It was funny because actually the night before, the blessing was coming up in my heart, and I was just like singing it, and I was like, wow, where's this coming from? We haven't really...
I'm calling heaven and earth to bless. And now it's all about the blessing.
Yeah. and so it was just like that, on the Saturday night, God was just speaking the blessing. We were listening to the song, but then we were going through so many scriptures where it was just showing, like, this is how God is blessing. And, like Deuteronomy 28, and some of the scriptures were from Genesis, and as far as with Abraham and how God blessed Abraham.
Well, and then there's the Numbers, right?
Yes, and actually, the Numbers.
Well, and it started off by 24. You singing that song over our youngest, right?
Yeah.
And just spontaneously came to you, right?
Yeah. And singing it over him, he's the sign of the promise for us. And so it was like the Lord is singing the blessing over the promise.
Wow.
And
like,
so,
what are you doing?
Yeah. We were just like, whoa, what is happening here? And so we're just seeing this, and as we're seeing it, it's like, okay, Lord, what is going on here? Like, we're just walking it out with you, and because a lot of times it's like we walk things out, and then God continues to bring more clarity, more revelation, and then at the end it's like, this makes sense. Well, now I understand.
Yeah, and you want to be excited, but you don't want to get disappointed. But you can't be like on the fence.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm excited about what you're doing, but I'm just going to wait and see what that is. I can share my ideas. Oh, maybe you're doing this, maybe you're doing that, maybe you're doing this, maybe you're doing that. Oh, but I got it. Well, let's just see. He may not be doing that. And that happened during that 10 days they were here. I was like, oh, maybe this is the time we're going to gather the spoils, and then there's going to be this thing, and then that didn't happen. No. But the only reason it didn't disappoint me is because I wasn't like, oh, that's absolutely what's going to happen. Yes, this is what. No, because that wasn't the Lord saying it. It was just, maybe this is. There's a difference between us imagining or speculating and the Lord actually saying it. And so
Yeah.
But we felt like the Lord was really leading us through this, so we could say with confidence, like, wow, this is the Lord saying this. The Lord is really speaking this blessing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am calling heaven and earth to witness I'm blessing. And so...
And it was just an emphasis on blessing throughout that whole time. And then when our friends came, you received, I think the day that they came or the next morning, it's like God saying, like, these are my hands.
Yeah.
And that was,
that really was a stretch.
That was like, Lord, what are
you mean
saying?
by that?
What do you mean? But it became clear after.
It was like the next morning. They hadn't even been here 24 hours.
Yeah.
And because the Lord was saying, can I?
Yes.
Because the Lord was saying, like, he's like, remember, I stretched out my hands. He literally is talking to me about this. See, that's the difference between I wonder, and the Lord literally speaking it to you. He was asking me, he was like, do you remember what did I do after I said I'm calling heaven and earth to bless? So this is after the bless, or to witness that I'm blessing, right? So this is after the blessing part, right? And he's like, I was like, well, you extended your hands. And then he said to me, and I just saw my friends in a vision in a parking lot, just a picture. And he's like, behold my hands. And I was like, what? I was like, are you going to use them to do something? What are you doing?
Yeah, and so that's the part.
And he said nothing else. I would ask him all kind of questions. He was just like, you're just going to have to. It was just a sense of like, if you're asking the Lord and he's not telling you, then you're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah. And that's really kind of what ended up happening. But at the end, it was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That this makes sense. And so basically, it's like, behold my hands. And the whole idea was just like, the whole time they were here, it was like, you're seeing the hands of the Lord come from here and being extended out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, as far as that vision's concerned, that's kind of where it stops. It's like, the Lord's hands are extended out, and we're waiting kind of for the finale. But the fact is, it's like while they were here, it was like God was extending his hands, and it was so cool because we've shared in the past that God has had specific relationships in our life where he's designated, like when we see these people, it represents heaven. When we see this person, it represents earth. And whenever they would come, it would be very significant point in what God is doing in our story at the time.
Yeah.
But also those relationships were very distinct. And like if it was a relationship that was a heaven relationship, it was always about like just, it was a lot of praying and speaking prophetically and just like a lot of just together like talking. We wouldn't really do anything while the person was here apart from hanging out, talking, just worship, what is the Lord prayer, saying?
It was a Mary time.
Yeah, yeah, very much so.
It was a Mary at the feet of Jesus time.
Yeah, very much so. But then like if an earth relationship was here, it was more geared towards doing activities, like even if it's just like we're going to the park,
and then that's what they would want to do.
The zoo, and that's
like, hey, let's go see this. Let's go see the land. Let's go see this. Yeah. What are some of the houses? Let's go see it. Let's go see.
Yeah.
We'd be going and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when our friends were coming to visit, I didn't really know personally. I was like, I feel like this is gonna have like heavenly elements, but then I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. But the whole time they were here, it was heaven and earth. It was both. It was filled with just great conversations and prayers and, just all the heavenly things. But then it was matched with great earthly things at the same time.
Yeah, so while they were here, though, it was really interesting because you could see the heaven and earth. I was like, so Lord, what kind of relationship are these guys for us? Is there any kind of prophetic symbolism? And what I saw was like it's heaven and earth. It was heaven and earth at the same time. It was both and I was like, whoa, we've never had that before. We have never ever had that before. And it was just a sense of like, this is a sign.
Yeah.
Like heaven and earth are witnessing. And it's like, and it was really cool because we would share a lot of food. Like they would get food, and then we would get food, and then they would get food, and then we would get, and it was just a lot of food, folks, and fun, you know. And we would talk so much about the things of God and what God's doing, because you now have two families together that are living really the same way. You know, they're not necessarily raising support like we are, but they're just out there and they're roaming, following the Lamb wherever he goes, and it's like, with all the questions and all, just like disciples that follow Jesus. You know, they didn't know everything, and they had their issues and their concerns, but they were able to see Jesus do amazing things, and it's like, that's kind of what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, particularly if you're in like a wilderness type setting, you know. It's different in the wilderness setting than it is in the full-blown manifestation type of setting, like what we read in the Gospels. That would be considered like a manifestation type of thing. But I was like, wow, that's true. It's heaven and earth. And I just was like, whoa, this is definitely different. And the wife, I've known her, gosh, for 26 years. I think she is like one of the longest standing relationships I have. like that's a long time too.
Yeah.
But like, and to be in contact pretty consistently throughout the years, not like talking every day or anything like that, but
but just kind of like one of those relationships that even if you've had a long time of not talking, when you see him again, it's just as if you never had a break in between or anything like that. It's just
it was just a really, really good time.
Yeah.
And her husband's just amazing. Just an amazing dude. I'm talking like mountain pillar level stability. I mean, just like man of God, man of faith. I'm like, wow. And they've been married almost as long as we have.
Yeah.
And so it was just really, really good for them. It was really, really good for us. It was really, really good for our kids, because they have kids they have two kids that are
basically similar ages to ours.
Yeah. Our poor little guy, he had to squeeze himself into every little moment he could, but it was just a really, really good time, you know?
Yeah. And
it was super cool.
And then it was after they had left, or right before they were leaving, there was just this idea of seeing the cloud the size of a man's hand. And it really took me back again, because I was looking in Elijah and the prophets of Baal and all of that, the whole story, but particularly in 1 Kings 18, it's verse 44 through 46. And it's talking about how Elijah was praying, and he prays 7 times, and then he sees the cloud the size of a man's hand. And it was, and before they came, it was so interesting because
you're gonna talk about the squatting.
Yeah, the Lord.
This is hilarious.
I don't even know why it came.
I found the video.
You found it, and it was talking about doing like
movement and motion
and like doing like the deep squat. So it's and gaining more flexibility. And I was just like, man, I really need
breaking myths about squats being your knees being over your toes, and all of these things that I've learned, particularly in bodybuilding, that you're not supposed to do. And they're saying, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's like your body's literally made to be able to do that, so why can't you do that, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, you know?
Well, and if you look at kids, they do it all the time.
Our little guy can just squat right down and just be in that position
forever.
But his butt's not literally touching the floor. He's just, it looks like it, but he's not. Yeah. And the guy's like, you should be able to do that. I'm like, bro, if I got it even close to a seated position, I'm falling backwards.
Yeah. So it was
like, someone help me.
Yeah.
Go grab my walker.
But it was so interesting because for me,
the one with the tennis balls on the bottom, so I don't scrape the hardwood.
Yeah. But it was interesting because it was just like, oh man, like I'm just gonna practice this, and so I just
And you were good at it.
Yeah, but I can tell I'm like have very tight ankles, and
you still had to grab a hold of something.
Yeah, but
toward the end you didn't.
Yeah, but it was just like, wow, okay, I was just practicing, pretty much every day of just kind of, for a few minutes, you just sit and you kind of let your body get used to being in that position. But I was then looking at Elijah, and it talks about how he was basically in that kind of position as he was praying. And I'm like, whoa, Lord, what are you doing here? Because at the same time, God was taking me through basically every morning. He was talking about the heart and being strong.
That's what it was. It was strength and strong. For 7 straight days.
7 straight days.
While you're doing these squats.
Yeah.
The ancient Hebrew birthing position, squatting. Mm-hmm. That's why they say, and he put his head between his knees. That's what he's talking about. He just went down into a squat. He wasn't like on his knees bowed down. Mm-mm. I think he was just in that squatted position.
Because you can put your head between your knees that way.
I learned that. Like I listened to some people say like that. You think this scripture means this? He was on his knees and he was just that's not what that means. It's like in the ancient Hebrew culture, this is what they did, and I was like, whoa! When I learned that, I was like, oh, he was in a Hebrew woman's birthing position. He was birthing something from heaven to come to earth, according to the word of the Lord. He wasn't going, well, maybe what the Lord is doing, I think I'm supposed to do this. No, that's not the leading of the Spirit. That's just your mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you can't be led by that. Mm-hmm. And that's where we get in trouble. And sometimes, that's where the training comes in, Mm-hmm. And so you were doing that.
Yeah, I was doing that like all week.
Funny.
And then it basically, the final day, like day 7, ended up being the same day that our friends came. Mm-hmm. And then we entered into this time with him that was just like, it was just amazing.
It was glorious.
And
it was Garden of Eden.
Yeah. And it was almost like when they left, that's when the Lord was showing us, like, that was the cloud the size of a man's hand. And I thought it was interesting that it was a reference to a hand again.
It's like, behold my hands. So it's like 2 hands.
Yeah.
That's 2 clouds the size of a man's hand.
Which is why I feel like afterward it's like, ooh, we're starting to feel the wind of the Spirit, because it talks about then the winds came and they brought in the clouds that then begin to downpour. And that's also in the scripture, it talks about where Elijah girds up his loins. And so that's why right after it was that sense of like, hey, we're gonna gird up your loins, really bring things together, so that,
which is kind of where we're at still in that place, would you say?
I mean, I think just bringing things together. I mean, I honestly think that's where, like,
I feel like we're kind of transitioning out of that.
Yeah.
I think we're getting ready to run.
I think part of that is like the Lord bringing more and more clarity and more and more insight.
I'm too close to the current time frame to really give any accurate. I'm going to start speculating.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Let's not do that. Get out of the speculation jar.
It's not good for you. But ultimately, it was just like, whoa. Okay, Lord, this is like cloud the size of a man's hand. And I feel like that's in reference all of like the cloud that you're here, I call heaven and earth to witness I'm blessing this man. It all has to do with the blessing that the Lord is going to be giving. And so with the same from June and to the beginning of July, we were also seeing where God was fulfilling other visions and so
like which ones?
Well, like the breakroom visions.
These are more floats.
Yeah. So with the breakroom visions or dreams.
Yes. Go with that.
And so,
there was a dream and then there was a vision that attached to the dream later on.
Yeah. So
either way, that story, the breakroom story.
We call these all the breakroom stories. So basically, during this time, you were in a place that basically was Walmart or like a Walmart.
Yeah.
And
it was the most amazing Walmart you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
It was like every Walmart should look like this.
Yeah.
the produce was ridiculous. It was like from a picture.
Yeah.
It was like, man, they set that up because they're about to film something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's the way it looks all the time. Like, wow, where's those fruits and vegetables come from?
Yeah.
And don't come from Walmart. Don't come from Walmart.
But in this, you were going around and you were just like, it was like you were shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping, and then
I was dream shopping.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
because
it was.
you get to the front to check out, and
I had 5 minutes left to get back to work, and I had nothing. I literally had nothing, and I was so grieved. Even as I say this right now to you, I can feel the grief I felt in that dream. I felt so grieved because I had nothing. I'd done all this dreaming, and I get up to the front to buy all the stuff I was dreaming, and I couldn't. I had nothing in my hand, and I had to get back to work in 5 minutes because I literally worked at this place. And I was just like, I don't even have time. I was like, oh well. And I just went back to the back. And a friend of mine from way back in my Lawrenceburg Walmart days, when I used to work there, she was there and she was doing the schedule. She was like, hey, how's it going? And I'm just like, oh, okay, she's apparently mad at me or something. I don't know what's going on. And then I start putting I just start to adopt this old feeling, this old mindset of like, just, I don't know, a sense of hopelessness, a very, very deep hope deferred heart sickness. But I think it's a broken heart and a broken hope. Just a sense of like, nothing's gonna happen. It's like, oh well, I guess I'm just going back to work. And I have felt that for like the briefest moment. That's like your trigger phrase right now, isn't it? The briefest moment.
yeah.
And I realized, like, wait a minute, I don't even have a way to clock in. It's like, I don't even have a W-2 or a W-4 filled out or nothing. Like, wait a minute, I don't even work here anymore. What is going on? And then as I'm standing here at the lockers, this door opens behind me, and it's like, hey, Devin, come in here. You're supposed to come in here. And I went into this, looks like a big Walmart break room, you know, where they just take their breaks there. And there was a party in there. And I'm like, whoa. Oh, okay, this is what's supposed to happen. And then part of that dream, there's this huge, like, I think like 6'5", huge linebacker of a black man. He comes in, he's like, oh my gosh, it's the LaVores. I can't believe it. I just love you guys. I love you guys. And then it's like, I want to bless you. I want to bless you. That's what he was saying. He was like, I just want to bless you guys. I just want to bless you guys. But then he turned to our daughter. He's like, but I really want to bless you. I'm going to really bless you. And I went, and then, you know, as the, and I was just like, you know, I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you're talking about really blessing my daughter. You know, the sword of the Spirit. My hand was on the sword of the Spirit, and I was pulling that bad boy out. I was ready to just, I was like, I'm probably not gonna be able to take that dude, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. You know, so they talking about, what you do? But I just could feel a sense, even in the dream. I felt the sense of the Spirit going, no, Dev, come on, just relax. And I'm like, all right. And I think that was kind of the end of the dream, but there was that sense of like, okay, I think that guy represented the Lord, just the blessing of the Lord that's going to come into our lives, and just be able to do just these quick little, a certain space and time. Because after that, when I got the vision, the big celebration that was supposed to be, that we were waiting on in that break room, it hadn't happened yet. This guy just happened to walk by and see us, and we're just like, oh my gosh, you know? Yeah. And so that's what you wanted me to tell them?
Yeah, and so basically, going back to the beginning of it, it was the series of events. You're up at the front with like just that heart sorrow because you couldn't get anything, and at the beginning of June, that's really what you were feeling.
Oh my god.
And I think that's also why the Lord was like the head to head, and so it was like happening at the same time. I mean, literally, you were just so
every morning I was waking
grieved.
Up like 700 pounds.
Yeah. And
grief on my heart. I was just like, You know what that's like. You get to that point where you just like, I just can't. I just can't. I want to, but I just can't. You just can't. And the Lord's like, here you go, buddy, come on. And it's like, well, I can come here and I can be in your presence and I can listen, you know? And the Lord's like, that's all I need you to do, buddy. That's all I want you to do. Just, I'm here, you're here. That's good enough for me. Like, for real? Yeah. All right, well, I can give you that. That's seriously, for like weeks. Like, it's like, here I am. I really am not happy with myself right now because during that time, because I was like, you deserve so much more than this. You know? You deserve so much more than what I'm giving you. But I don't have anything else to give, Lord. I am so like, I mean, you're going to have to get a rubber spatula into this peanut butter jar to get even a little half of a scoop to spread on the, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I got nothing left, man. And the Lord just, he's like, hey, I'm your provider. I will take care of you. And I'm not talking about financial. I'm just talking about the tiredness of the journey, you know? Yeah.
And so I felt like we really believe, like, as we're looking at it, it was like, whoa, that's the fulfillment of that part of the dream. And then when,
again, this is not stuff that we think this is.
No,
this was the Lord literally saying, here it is.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. I'm like, whoa, really? This is what it looks like? It's like, yep.
Well,
like, oh, okay.
And then it was shortly after that the Lord really started, like, kind of waking up all of these, like, hey, the writing and just that aspect of your life, in
the creative aspect,
yeah.
And then a lot of creative things. The Lord's like, hey, come on, let's do this. I'm like, really? We're not supposed to do that. You said we're not supposed to do that, so no, I cannot obey you. He's like, I know what I said. Listen to what I'm saying now.
Yeah.
like Miss Parr, like, what was her name? Invisible Girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
But and so then it was shortly after that, with all of these things that God's stirring up, though, you really were coming into this point of like, okay, maybe this is what the Lord, I need to go to work on all of these things.
I'm going back to work.
It was just like there was this sense of like self, like wanting to work, like, okay, all right, Lord, I'm gonna do it. All right, if this is how things are going to have, you know, like, you're going to use this and maybe that's going to bring a breakthrough, and just like, okay, let's go. And like, and
the idea of that was really stressing me out.
Yeah, but it was almost
like, I know what it takes for things for you to produce something and birth something and get the word out. That can take a very, very, very long time. I was willing to do it, but I was like, all right, if that's what we're doing, that's where my mind was.
Yeah, but it was almost immediately the Lord just like, no, that's not what we're doing right now.
I brought you all this way just so you could do work that you were doing 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Why didn't I just leave you doing it then and just bless you along the way? If that's, hello?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
And so
freed me up, man. Yeah. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. But then it was just kind of the sense of entering into the break room.
Yeah.
And like that kind of the party atmosphere. And then that's when our friends came to visit.
Exactly.
And it was just like, whoa.
That's Lord, when they showed up.
What is going on?
And it was very refreshing. Because I remember even in the dream, that hopelessness that I felt when the door swung open and said, hey, you're supposed to come in here. I was just like, I just took a breath of refreshing air. And I went into the break room. I was like, oh, okay. I can do this. I mean, I guess we're still waiting for something to happen. This is weird, but okay, we're waiting for a party though. I can wait for a party. You know? I'm not going back to work. No. Oh, I'm waiting for a party. Yes. Oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can handle. I am a professional waiter. Okay. I got a PhD in waiting. Okay. I did my thesis on waiting. Okay. I'm good. You know.
Yes. And so it was just like, whoa, and we were seeing elements of the break room coming to pass, like the whole time that our friends were here. And you actually even had an additional vision for the break room while they were here that literally happened while they were here.
What?
The lady that came in, and she just was like, I just really want to bless you. And she was talking about...
Oh, like, yeah. Like, well, I just had this vision of... Because they were already here, right?
Yeah, they were already here.
They were already here. I think it was the next day. I was like, man, I'm sitting here. Because this is where I do everything, right here. We just put a camera in front. And anyway, but she came in. She just came out of nowhere. And there was a group of it was with her and her group of friends or whatever, and it was like she just, well, how did you get access to our room anyway? Anyway, she just came in, and she was right here, and she was just like, oh, you guys, LaVore family, oh my gosh, you know what? Listen to me. I just am so blessed by your faithfulness, and but your kids, your sacrifice of faith as leaders, but also just as parents. I think as parents, you guys are just doing such a great job, and no one knows. And it was just like, and I'm just sitting here going, oh, okay, wow. And she just, but so I want to bless you with something. I want to give you something. And then it just ended.
Yeah.
And you know me, you know what I did. I was like, is it money? Seriously, dude, I am always thinking about it because that's the position I'm in, right? I'm always thinking about it. I got this prophetic word for the husband, and I was just like, oh, I feel like the Lord's saying this thing. Is that about money? And they looked at me, they're like, no. I was like, yeah, that's true. I'm sorry. I'm always thinking about money. It's such a terrible thing. God, I was like, God, deliver me from this. Because I tend to do that. While they were here, that was one of my prayers. I was like, God, I am always thinking about it, and I don't like it. But I think if you're the financier or the financial, that's not right. A financier is someone who gives money, right? But if you're like the financial responsible person over a business that's barely making it every single week, you're always thinking about that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and
so then
from there
you got that vision, and it was like maybe the next day or the day after. It was like it was literally unfolding because they came in and just like
maybe like an hour.
Well, it was interesting because it was almost broken up into 2 days because there was in the evening it was like she came in and she's like, man, I just need to tell you guys, and started just talking about us as parents and all of this stuff. And it was like, wow, this is crazy. But then she was getting ready to leave, and it was like, but I do have something I really want to basically give you guys a prophetic words over your family.
Yeah, she was saying how like they have been traveling a lot, and she was just like, your kids are really awesome. And it was like this vision was coming to pass right in front of us. I'm like, wow, are we in like a prophetic fulfillment of vision time right now? Is that what the Lord is that what the sign is really signaling? Saying, get ready to see more of this, more prophetic things coming to pass. I'm like,
well,
whoa.
And I think that's why it's the cloud the size of a man's hand, because
it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. It's like you are experiencing what's going to be experienced when the fullness comes. And it's like you're going to see prophetic visions coming to pass. You're going to be experiencing the heart of God. You're going to be just having like those relational connections that, you know, it's like, Lord, this is amazing. We love this. But have not been a part of the journey in the wilderness. And so it's just like, it was like, whoa, this is coming to pass.
Yeah, so what happened was there was that part in the dream where the guy's like, but I really want to bless your daughter. I really want to bless her. And that happened also in the sense that the family that was visiting us, they said, hey, we really, really want to bless your daughter. And I was like, okay. And so what they ended up doing is going horse riding, which is huge. It's like, I was like, this is God, because our daughter she just loves horses. It's like a dream. It's almost like a pipe dream. You know, it's like, I own no horses. You know what I'm saying? But we don't do that. We just say, hey, if you believe God for it, that's great, you know? And so, like, it is such a big dream for her. Mm-hmm. And, like, that's literally what they're bringing in, saying, yep, that's what we want to do. We want to take, because our daughter, and because they're basically the same age, right? It's like, because our daughter and your daughter, you can go horseback riding and everything. And she was like, are you serious? Like, yes. And there was another, but see, watch what happens. See how the vision and the dream comes to pass. Myself, I'm going, no, don't you know all the dangers? You know, no, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna fall off, you're gonna you know, that's kind of how I am behind the scenes. If you don't know, let me let you in.
Yeah,
you know,
just
Devin is
if you
like,
watch The Crooge, think of Grub.
I am joking. That is totally me. It's like, wait, watch that, don't do that, don't eat it, it's new. You know, don't do that. That's just what I do, man. It just comes out of me. It's just very much like I want to protect my family, you know. But the Lord was like, hey, no, remember that, just let it happen. I was like, okay, because I really thought it was a great idea. I was like, this is great. Oh my gosh, the terrible things that could happen. Oh no. You know. But the Lord's like, no, just let it happen, buddy, just let it. I was like, okay, cool. And it happened. It was really good. She actually did get hurt from it, because the horse just like yanked on her wrist. She yanked on the reins, and so it like pulled her wrist, and so her wrist got really hurt. She's still hurting from it, but she didn't care. She's just super happy, and she's a little upset that she's not able to do as much, but it was just a super cool time. Yeah. You know?
Yes, it was amazing.
And not only that, but there's other parts of the vision. There's a part of the vision that we literally saw come to pass. I'm not going to go into that part. I'm just saying, like, that there are certain things that are happening. These kind of things are just happening in our life, you know?
Yeah.
And then they had to leave, and it was a sad moment, but it was a blessed moment. Yeah. You know, it was really cool. And then, so 3 days, I think, has gone by, and you kind of had a prophetic unction of like, ooh, these might be a little bit turbulent, right? And they were. It was turbulent. It was in a every time we have a moment like that, and then we come back here, it's just a sense of like, okay, great, everything's going back to the way it was. And I feel like the turbulence was Lord saying, no, it is not. No, don't think that. Don't believe that just because nothing exciting is happening. You know, we're like, okay, cool. Well, we're just gonna sing about the goodness of God, right?
Well, and it was interesting too because, well, like I said, here, let me give a little more into it.
Okay.
But basically that so I really feel like the whole cloud besides the man's hand, like I said, it all is related with the blessing of God that's coming, right? Because the rain was the blessing from the Lord back to Israel so that they would have crops again, and it would reverse the place of the land. It would go from being barren to being fruitful. And so for us, like the blessing, that's like the Lord coming and bringing provision, bringing just his blessing over all the different areas of our life, that's going to bring us from wilderness back into promised land. But then also there's this
7 times greater.
And there's also with it the declaration of the Lord for bringing forth a new heaven and a new earth, meaning like, let's go into the new, and this is what I have for you in the new. And we had back in 2021, we went through what we called the garden syllabus, and if you can go back and watch those videos if you want, but basically we walked through Genesis chapter 1 through chapter 2 verse 3, and days of creation basically. And so,
I was getting ready to skip over all that, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. And the whole speaking the blessing and everything. Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. What am I doing? Yeah. This is why I'm not in charge.
And so basically, like, it was, our friends left, and then there was like the next day, that night, it was late in the midnight hour, we really felt like God was just having us pray, but it was a speaking, a decreeing.
Yeah.
And so God had Devin basically decreeing blessing over every area of our life from Deuteronomy 28. 1 through 14.
1 through 14, man. I was just, he was like, no, don't pray it, speak it. Speak it, because in your journal you went from strong and strength and all that to speak. And so that's what we were doing. We were speaking. And then after that it was about seeing. So seeing what you're speaking.
Yeah. And so it was like, all right, I want you to speak. And so Devin did the blessing, but then the Lord highlighted for me to go through Genesis chapter, the days of creation, and just start speaking according to what he had shown for our life and what the different elements meant. And
and I think that came as a result of you getting just kind of this light turn on from the Lord about, like, sometimes you pray for stuff, but sometimes you have to speak it.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying that. I'm like, wow, okay. And I took it to the Lord, and I'm like, well, Lord, if that's what you want,
because
then you develop it, and he did.
Well, it was that morning, on the morning of the 8th, the Lord said, speak. That was what he highlighted. And we were talking about
we went from strong to speak.
How God was saying to speak, and then that's what ended up the result at the end of the night. And then the following days it was just like see, and we're like, okay, what are we seeing? But it's just really God saying, like, you've spoken by faith, you're going to see. And what we were speaking is for the blessing and for the creation of a new life that God has for us. And he's relating it to the creation story, how he literally spoke everything into existence. And
now when the Lord speaks a word, a lot of times he gives a prophetic sign. It's like, here, let me give you a sign, because we just came through a time of a sign of with our friends being here and just all the blessing that is. And it was a prophetic sign of, like, this is what you're going into. Dreams being fulfilled, covenant relationships being established, connections, just that Acts, the book of Acts fellowship, where we had everything in common. What's mine is yours, and all that stuff. It was just really, really great. It was a prophetic sign of what's coming.
And so for me, it's like we had a sign of the blessing, but now I feel like with the speaking of the new heaven, new earth, it's a sign for the promise. This is what God has promised us. We're coming into all this new life that he has for us. And so basically then we came in the night of the on Friday night, we were singing all of these songs.
Oh yeah, and God gave me all these songs about the goodness of God, and I was just like, whoa, okay. And then we just started the fourth song. It was with Travis Green and Passion. Oh God, you're so good. That one. And then we hear this, like, what? No, man, not now. Yeah. No, because we get that all the time. Every weekend you get, because this hotel, it hosts a lot of teens and young kids come and they do that.
And they're running up and down the hall and they're like,
they'll knock on the door and then
run
they'll
away.
Take off. And I was like, all right. So the door knocked. She got up to check.
And nobody was there.
No one was there. I was just like, but then I could hear some rustling or something. I was like, let me go check. And then I go and I look through the peephole and I see this arm that just goes bop, 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 and then it creeps behind it and it just stays right there by the door. And I'm like, you are not hiding. Like, what are you? And so I just open the door. And I'm like, yes. In a sense of like, I can see you. I know you're there. Yes. And then what happened?
Well, and then this guy pops out and he's just like, surprise! And then this lady pops out and she's like, surprise! And it's right in that second we recognize both of them. Our friends came to visit us. Total surprise.
But here's the deal. the one friend is the sign of the new earth. The other friend is the sign of the new heaven.
Yeah.
And they have come at individual times, like she had said earlier in the video. But now here they are together.
Yeah.
Suddenly.
Yeah.
A sudden surprise of heaven and earth. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And it was flipping me out. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah. I
was
just crying. I was just like,
yeah,
what
she was
in
crying.
the world?
My little guy was just like, you're here? He started freaking out. I was like, what in the world? They had been planning this for weeks.
Yeah, we obviously had no idea.
Had no idea. And here we are, speaking blessing, singing, and just about the goodness of God during a time that was kind of like a transitional kind of, we were fighting to stay, hopeful and faithful, and but that things weren't gonna, we're just going back to normal. And the Lord's like, if you only knew. But I can't tell you because she told me not to say anything, so I can't share it with you. And you'll see. And then there they were, and it was like, whoa, like great friends, like covenant relationships. The Lord told me in the wilderness you have 4 different kinds of relationships. And the Lord told me, like in the wilderness, you're going to be dealing with table relationships and what I call the demonic relationships, meaning people who are inspired just by the enemy to come into your life and say dumb things and do dumb things and try to get dumb things to happen in your life because they just the enemy is in them. Kind of like the enemy was in the Pharisees.
Yeah.
To come against Jesus. Same way.
But it was like those enemy relationships, though, they had their
perimeter.
They couldn't come close.
And then the table relationships are just people that you might minister to and try to help out and all that. But it's like God was like, in the next time to come, you're going to have marketplace relationships. That's just business with earth, but then also covenant relationships, meaning people who know the Lord, hear from the Lord, walk with the Lord just like you do, and you guys are sharing life, and that's who these two people were. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it was such a surprise, but it blew my mind because that was the first time they had actually met each other. But it was like heaven and earth visiting us again. It was like twice. Again, it's that whole double shall follow you all the days of your life. We're having 2 clouds. You know what I'm saying? 2.
But I felt, well, for me, I see it as like we're having 2 signs of the birth of the blessing of the Lord upon our life and the sign of the birth of the promise upon our life. Yeah. And it's like you're going to receive both, and here's the sign that both are going to be happening. Yeah.
And it was amazing. I mean, it was so good. It was so unexpected. It reminded me of the 2 puppies dream, where you just have one and then another, and it's like, whoa, the shock of it all. It's like, wow, this is amazing. And it was just so much fun. So much, also, again, like heaven and earth stuff, I don't know how much earth stuff we did, but I can't remember.
Well, you did end up doing a lot of earthly things, like going to the store and like just, I don't know.
With the earthly sign.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, hey, you want to go with me? Let's go. Yeah, let's go. And it's funny because my friend, he's from a state where they do not have Teslas, because he lives out in farmland, big farmland. You don't have Teslas out there. And that was the first time he's seen a Tesla. Well, the first time he's seen a Tesla Cybertruck. I was like, oh, bro, you're in like, we see Cybertrucks here like Toyota Tacomas. You know what I'm saying? And they are all over the place, And it was so cool because I got to see one of my dream cars. It drove right in front of me while I was with him, and we were just doing earth stuff. But then, with our other friend here, we were just talking about the things of the Lord, and it was an amazing thing. It was like heaven and earth again, but a different kind, a different spice. I see that's why you make the separation between the blessing and the promise. But it was a sign from the Lord of just saying like, hey, this is where you're at. This is not prophetic. This is happening.
Yeah.
You know? And so when we talk about getting clothed and dressed and girding up our loins, this is what we're talking, this is a part of what we're talking about. And then the Lord's still doing stuff in our life right now. It's like, come on, let's get on the right mindset. Let's get on the right, like this, we've trained for this. Come on. This is not like, oh yeah, It's almost like with Friends, when that TV show Friends, when Monica was telling Rachel, like, hey, I'm moving out. And Rachel's like, oh, okay. Because Monica had probably said that like 28 times before that. And she's like, no, this is for real. She's like, okay, let's go. You know? And it's like, Rachel, no, listen, I am moving. And she's like, you are? Oh, no. I don't know if you saw that scene.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend seeing the TV show to anyone under 37. But that scene in of itself is like, that's what happens. It's like when it's time for the Lord to really show up, you got to be ready. You got to be taking him seriously. When he comes, will he find faith on the earth, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
well, and I kind of just want to touch on, there's one more vision I just want to share. If you guys remember, I had a vision a while back about running a marathon. About running a marathon, and it was like just you're worn out, but there came this point where there was this, you weren't done with the race, but there was a crossing into basically glory of this, the
stadium, right?
Well,
no,
it was not necessarily a stadium, but it's still on the path, but it was like you were surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. But it was, what changed was like the lighting, like it just became like golden glory that you're running through. And I really feel like when our friends came in June, it was like we've crossed into that time now where it's the witnesses like are
like, you can't quit now,
just finish through.
The finish line is right up there.
But then also there's, as like currently the Lord is saying like time to get dressed, because which matches with that vision as well, because at the end we cross the finish line and we look like we're ready for the red carpet, like in the sense of just dressed, but we look so refreshed, like nobody would ever know that we just ran. And
you must have spent all day in the salon, didn't you? Nope, just got finished with an ultra marathon,
a 401k marathon,
it was 250,
a 250 mile. but it was just like, I feel like we've entered into that time where there's just the cheering of those that are also in faith, that and that's who's came and visited us. It's like they are also in faith, and then the sign of the new heaven and new earth is like they're also in faith, and it's just like that sense of like, I don't know, just hearing the cheering, and it continues, like it's like this is here to propel you to continue to go forward. And as you're going forward, God's like, I'm going to be getting you dressed and ready, because when you finish, you're going to be ready to go and come into something completely new, completely different. And that's really where we're at. We're at this point where God's just like, hey, I'm preparing you, I'm getting you dressed. And personally, for I think both of us, we're really seeing those elements of the Lord just saying like, here, I'm putting, this on you, like especially I think for you with like the creativity aspect of your life. It's like God's just really highlighting that. And even for me, I've been drawn back into a place of really getting more clarity in regards to the vision that God has for us.
And that's been the word. So there was strong, then there was speak, then there was see, and then you've gotten this clarity thing. And we've been having clarity yesterday and today like crazy. Stuff that has been a mystery for years. It's been ambiguous for years, and it's just like, all right, let's bring that into focus. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's easy. Once you focus on it. It's like when we went to get our eyeglasses, he would flip the lenses. It's like, which one's better, this one or this one? this one or this one? And it's like, oh, the more he did it, the more it's like, oh, well, it's obvious now. That's an E. It's not a Q. Sorry, Lord, about that.
Yeah.
But that's what has been happening. That's one of our stories. One of our, I don't know how many floats that accounts for in a parade of floats, but that's one of them, man. And it's like, it's such a sign of like heaven and earth witnessing. And it's like, it's really cool. It's a sign because it really is a sign that is pointing to actual heaven and earth, in the sense that like the family of God in heaven is going to witness what he's going to do here on the earth. And then the earth itself is going to witness what God's going to do for the people of God on the earth waiting for him. You know, so there's a even bigger picture beyond us that's how this applies. But then you can like kind of shrink it in to your own family, even your own life, and how God brings to pass prophetic things. And so I think we could end there.
I think so. So
welcome back.
Yes. So we do.
Welcome back to the LaVore video lengths.
Well, we do hope.
We're just gonna hop on real quick, tell you a little story.
Just a short one. But yeah, we do pray that you guys were blessed and that you are seeing just the signs of God's movement in your own life, the signs of blossoming, the signs of harvest, and that you're preparing yourselves, because God is a fulfiller of his word. He does what he promises, and so we want to stay in faith and trusting him as we continue to walk forward with him. And so until next time, guys, we love you, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.